Okay, hey everybody, Teching and Barry back again, and in today's video we are going to be tackling everybody's favorite subject matter. I know it's mine. That's right, headcanon. Stuff that has yet to happen in One Piece, but key word being yet, and definitely will happen in the future of the manga. Now, how do I know this as a humble fan of One Piece? I don't personally know Oda. I don't know what he has planned for the future of this story, and yet I just feel like what's gonna happen is gonna happen. You know how it is. It's hard to explain. It's like you add a 2 and then you carry the 7 and you divide by a Dressrosa arc and you add an Eneru in there somewhere and you just understand. It's like you're on the Grand Line. You're sailing on the Grand Line and the magnetic charge is pulling you to the next island and you get on a current and you just, this is the way the story's going. I feel the vibes here, and you just go, right? You read a story long enough, you could predict the future. I don't make the rules, that's just how it works. But that's not all we're talking about today, not just headcanon. Well, I guess the other thing is sort of ancillary to headcanon. It's related to headcanon. We're also going to have a light dusting of fan shipping involved in this video, right? So it's the best video ever, right? Okay. So today's video, we're going to be talking about Hibari. Everybody knows Hibari, right? Yes, she's a commander in the Marines, she's a member of SWORD, she's an expert sniper. I wonder what Hibari's kill count is. She is a buzzsaw with that sniper rifle, right? And I know at Egghead she was using the gunpowder rounds to turn all the gunpowder into harmless, flowers, like Vegapunk's invention. But remember, that was because, they were vastly outnumbered, and, they were trying to get Koby out of there, so to disable all the other pirates, guns so that Koby can run away. But under normal circumstances on a normal mission, Hibari has probably killed a lot of pirates with that damn sniper rifle. Boom, headshot, right? Okay. Hibari is relatively new to One Piece. She's only been around for, I think, a little over a year or so. Actually, no, it's longer than that, because I think we're getting close to a year since the raid on Hachinosu happened, and that blows my mind, right? Now, granted, Oda has taken a lot of breaks since then, but, I think when, we first saw Hibari with her rifle, shooting the gunpowder, dissolving rounds and stuff like that, that was back in, April of 2023. It doesn't sound, right? It sounds like way longer than that, but I think it was around a year ago. So, yeah, it was maybe 2 years ago Hibari has shown up, right? Also, very important to mention, she's a commander. She outranks Helmeppo. So, when it comes to SWORD, as far as we know, I guess we don't know every single person that's a member of SWORD, but from the ones that we do know about, Helmeppo is the lowest ranked, because he's a lieutenant commander, Hibari's a commander, Koby's a captain, and then Prince Scroose and Kujaku are both rear admirals, okay? So, she at least outranks Helmeppo. All right. So, Hibari, honestly, Oda has given us a lot of information about her in SBSs. There was a whole backstory that he gave for that little bear that was hanging on her backpack. Her design is pretty cool. She has all the little heart patches, and she has a backpack with a little teddy bear, and she has like half of her leg is camo. She has these leggings, one is camo, one is a little cloud pattern. So she has an interesting design, and Koby and her have a history apparently. There was a mission where her bear was left on the battlefield and she was really upset, oh no, my bear. And then Koby went back against his higher ups' orders in order to get the bear, and he came back all covered in ash and everything from searching this bombed out battlefield for a teddy bear, and then gave it back to Hibari, and Hibari was like, oh my god, thank you so much, Koby senpai. You are my senpai forever. Oda also mentions in the SBS, and I don't even know if this is fan shipping at this point, because it's been heavily implied that Hibari has a huge crush on Koby, but Oda kind of was a little bit of a cop-out with it. He was like, does she have feelings for him? I'm not great at these things, because we don't really focus on romance that much in One Piece. The closest thing we get to romance in this story is typically Luffy with a big piece of mutton, perhaps beef or of some such, you know what I mean? But yeah, in the case with Hibari and Koby, at least from my perspective, yeah, she's clearly head over heels in love with Koby, okay? Especially after that moment where he brought back her bear. Now, Is Koby picking up on this? Because Koby can be a little oblivious. You know, that's what makes it adorable, right? Unfortunately, it seems like the Koby-Rebecca thing is not going to happen, but Koby-Hibari, very adorable, all right? Now, if that was just all there was, I wouldn't be making a video about this. That's kidding. I totally would. If this was just the whole video about, like, hey, guys, you want to gossip about Koby and Hibari? You think they're going to get together? I could totally do that for the remainder of this video, the next 20 minutes. I could easily do that. But no, there's another aspect of this which makes it great, okay? And this is something, I've brought this up many times before. A lot of people have, okay? Hibari, there is a non-zero chance that Hibari is Akainu's daughter. Sakazuki's daughter, the current fleet admiral of the Marines, Mr. Magma himself, the guy that burned a Marine in the streets of Marineford just because he didn't want to be part of a war. Akainu took time out of his day as Whitebeard was attacking Marineford to stop this one low-level Marine and be like, "You're not going anywhere, son. Oh, please, I have a family." He's like, "Well, your family would just cry with disappointment of seeing you run away from your duties." And then he burns him alive, like right there in the streets, in the middle of a war. So yeah, you don't mess with Akainu, right? Anyway, he's probably Hibari's dad. Now, why is this, okay? Well, there's a couple of reasons for this. The number one is, it would be hilarious. Because, like, literally, this is a story you gotta keep in mind. There's themes and elements and everything going along here, okay? Koby and Akainu are at odds in a lot of different ways, like philosophically and morally and everything like that. Koby is a Marine that really cares about others. You know, at Marineford, he began to awaken his observation hockey and began to weep at the deaths of everybody all around him. He began to get overwhelmed. And so at the war, you have a moment where the Marines are honestly kind of winning. They're pushing back the pirates. And then at that moment, Koby's like, I can't take this anymore. This is not what the Marines are supposed to do. I have to stop this. And he just throws himself in front of Akainu. And Akainu's like, "You pitiful Marine. How dare you join our ranks?" Roar! And he's about to magma fist him until Shanks shows up. And Shanks even gives him some accolades. Shanks is even like, "Well said, young Marine. Well said." And then Koby passes the hell out. It was a pretty intense day for Koby, right? So Koby and Akainu are like polar opposites when it comes to like the justice idea, right? Okay, Akainu is very much absolute justice. Thorough justice is his specific, you know, calling in life, and he really carries that through. Whereas, yeah, Koby is definitely more on the morality or honest side of justice. Absolutely, okay? So if you throw that equation into the whole idea of Hibari has a crush on Koby and Hibari might start going out, the idea that Akainu is her dad is just, the comedy writes itself right there. I mean, it's there, okay? But that's not the only reason. That's a funny reason, but that's not the only reason, okay? So, the one that most people cite, and this is even on the wiki, as it's just like an interesting little thing that Oda threw in here, to the point where it's so specific, I'm thinking, like, this was definitely done on purpose. At least my perspective on it is it was done on purpose, okay? So Akainu speaks in a very specific Japanese dialect. He speaks in the Hiroshima dialect, okay? And the only other person in the entire One Piece story that does this, I thought there was some characters in Wano that spoke in it, but I'm pretty sure it's just Sakazuki and Hibari. Hibari also uses this Hiroshima dialect. Now, I am not from Japan. I know a little bit about Japanese, but not a lot about different dialects and everything like that. So I wanted to get a little bit more information on exactly what that meant, like Hiroshima dialect. Like, what is that exactly? So I reached out to Artur over at the Library of Ohara because he's fluent in Japanese. And I'm like, yeah, can you just give me some information on this Hiroshima dialect thing? Like, what exactly is it, you know, specifically? And the best way he described it to me was like, it's just different pronunciation, different vowel sounds in certain words. In Japanese, you would use the word like ata, okay, ata. Well, in the Hiroshima dialect, it would sound more like acha, okay? And then there's des, or desu, and then they would add a ke at the end of it, so desica. You know, like that's the best way it was described to me, and you know, that's kind of the way Akainu speaks. And there's like some examples that Artur sent to me of how it like lines up with the way that Hibari speaks and the way that Akainu speaks. Okay, I was also trying to find a parallel to use in like English, you know, like in the United States where I'm from, and I'm not really sure if this is a one-to-one, but like the closest thing I could come up with is like, yeah, there's certain dialects, there's different words and phrases that you would use in one part of the United States that doesn't really show up in other parts of the United States. It's all English, it's just different versions of English or pronunciations and stuff like that. So like here, living in the Northeast, specifically I'm in West Central Pennsylvania, you'll hear the word yins every now and then. And in the South, you'll probably hear y'all, where it just goes to, it's you all, like you all over there or everyone over there. It's like y'all or yins, all right? I personally have never used yins, by the way. I think it's honestly more of like an older thing, like a generational thing, because, you know, most of my friends, you know, we're all here born and raised in Pennsylvania, and I don't really know a lot of people my age that use yins. It's mostly just like, you know, some older people that use it, right? But I have family in the South that lives in Georgia, and they'll occasionally, I'll hear them say a y'all or something like that. So yeah, maybe it's something like that. I'm not sure if it's a one-to-one, but that's the basic idea. And Akainu and Hibari are the only characters in One Piece to use that. So it's like this, and they're both Marines too. They're both in the Marines, okay? So we all know how Oda puts things into his manga. I refuse to believe that Oda is like, I'm gonna give a very specific dialect to Akainu, and I'm going to have that dialect exist only with Akainu's character. It's not like all the other Marines use it. It's not like all other, you know, like some other characters, like really badass, strong characters use it or anything like that. And then out of nowhere, new characters introduced, and Oda also has to consciously decide, I'm also going to give her the same damn dialect. The same exact way that Akainu speaks, Hibari speaks too. Like, that is a conscious decision that Oda had to have been aware of. I don't think it's something like, oh, I gave Hibari a Hiroshima dialect. I completely forgot that Akainu has that. Oh, well, weird. No connection whatsoever. Nah, that was a conscious decision, and that's where the headcanon comes from. So it doesn't seem like Hibari isn't particularly, like, inspired by Sakazuki or something. Like, you couldn't argue, like, well, maybe a character, like for example, if Green Bull spoke with the Hiroshima dialect, he doesn't, but if he did, that would make sense to me, like, because he looks up to Akainu, so maybe he speaks in the same way as Akainu does, okay, because he basically is an Akainu fanboy, okay, but that's not the case there, and Hibari doesn't seem to be, like, on the same level of, like, absolute thorough justice as Akainu is, so if it's not something like, oh, I look up to this person, so I'm going to adopt their manner of speech, you know, no, it's like, it would make more sense if just Sakazuki is Hibari's dad, all right? And then we don't know the whole situation with their family or anything like that. Also, along with that, when I was asking Artur about the Hiroshima dialect, he also specifically sent me this panel from the manga. And it's that scene I mentioned earlier when Akainu attacked that Marine that was running away from the battlefield, right? So let me just read this scene really quick, because Artur's also, he even mentioned, like, I'm a fan of this theory too. I really think that Sakazuki's going to turn out to be Hibari's dad. So he's like, Admiral Akainu, what's he doing here? Someone who cares about their family would never disgrace them with such cowardice. So the way that me and Artur kind of interpreted that is like, some personal experience has to be involved there. Like, the idea that he's saying, like, you care about your family, you turn around and you fight in this damn war, soldier. If you keep running this way, well, there's about to be a volcanic eruption, you know, that kind of stuff, right? So the idea is, like, he has a family and he has his own views on that family, like, you know, oh, my family would never look at me the same way, or I would have to be a coward. I would never be able to show myself to my family again if I turned coward. That seems to imply he at least has a wife, or did have a wife. Maybe she passed away at some point. We don't know how old Hibari is. I'm going to assume she's around the same age as Koby. Koby's 18, so maybe she's around 18, 19 years old, something like that, right? So, which I don't think she was around when Ohara happened. So Ohara would have been 22 years ago. I don't think she would have been born yet, but definitely could have been born in the intermediate time period. And it's very interesting because you have a character like Akainu, who's this very rough, very, very thorough justice kind of guy. I'm not saying he needs to be humanized. I'm not saying you need to look at Akainu and like, let's see the softer side of Sakazuki. I'm not saying we need that in the story. It's okay for him to be like a no bullshit, like, you know, no half measures, gotta go 100% with anything, even if you gotta murder civilians. That's his character. That's his character. You don't need to make him like a nice guy or anything like that. You don't even need to attempt to do that. But this isn't really doing that. This isn't really humanizing Akainu. It's just like, yeah, he's a real hard ass. Well, there's really big hard asses in life that can have children, and then their children grow up, and sometimes they turn out to be the same as their parents. Sometimes they're the exact opposite of their parents. Sometimes they try to like, hey, dad, come on, that's not cool. You didn't have to murder that guy just because he didn't want to fight in a war. You have to fight in the war, Hibari. That's the way it works. Dad, quit burning people. Come on now. It's just like, I'm sorry, Hibari. It's just, I get so mad. I literally have the power of a volcano inside of myself. It's just so hard sometimes. Yeah, I don't think that happens. I could, by the way, totally see this if we are going along with this logic that Akainu's wife and Hibari's mother would be dead. For one thing, it's just typical shonen dead mom disorder, but also the idea that, like, maybe at one point, like, honestly, okay, how about this? You know, Akainu is that very, like, no-nonsense kind of guy. And maybe we're going to find out about his backstory. Maybe when he was a little kid, maybe his town was attacked by pirates. Maybe his parents were killed by pirates. Something like that, right? So he grows up. He becomes a Marine. Ohara happens. He orders the destruction of the evacuation ship. And even like Kuzan and other people in the Marines are like, wow, this guy's kind of insane, right? What if it's a thing where shortly after Ohara, what if he met somebody and was able to maybe, like, you know, soften him up a little bit, as it were. You know what I mean? Just, like, maybe take the rough edges off of Akainu a bit, and they fall in love, and they get married, and they have Hibari. And maybe it's looking like Akainu's going to be, like, a different person, or he's on his way to becoming a different person, and then, boom, his wife dies. Maybe getting killed by a pirate, or maybe something happens, right? She dies, and then now here's Akainu as a single parent of a daughter, and he has no idea what he's doing, and that also just, you know, he goes back to being the kind of person he was. You know, maybe even worse. Maybe he dials it up because of that, right? So, yeah, and also because of the differences of opinion and morality and everything that Akainu and Koby have, I mean, the comedy is golden. If Koby and Hibari started dating, and then at some point, Hibari has to introduce him to her dad. Like, first of all, does Koby know? Does Koby know that Hibari's dad is Akainu? Because I feel like it's not something that she would advertise. Okay, she doesn't seem the kind of type of person to be like, yeah, my dad's the fleet admiral. So, you know, I don't think she's that kind of person. So maybe Koby doesn't even know. And then it's the idea that, like, okay, maybe they start dating. And then Hibari's like, okay, well, I got to introduce you to my dad. He's a little bit tough and a little bit rough around the edges, but he's going to be okay. He's fine. And then Koby's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll meet your dad. And then they walk into their house, and then Akainu is there reading the paper, and you don't see his face right away. It's like, Dad, I brought a boy home, and then just, and it's Akainu is like, well, hello there, young man. Oh, God, no, not you. You're the one from Marineford. And just like he starts seeing red, and he starts turning into magma, and Hibari just starts crying and runs up the stairs like, you never let me have anybody home. And just like she runs upstairs, and then Kobe's just, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't do anything with your daughter. I mean, I please. There's a piece of artwork. It was done by Runo. Over on Twitter at JARALOART. Probably didn't pronounce that right. By Runo. Go check their Twitter page out. But this right here, this is perfect. This is ideal. Where Hibari is just like, oh my God, Dad, I met a boy, and he's really cool, and he could punch things really hard, and we saved him from an island, and just like all that kind of stuff. Koby and Akainu have to like have a dinner together. Like, picture the dinner together. Picture they're like just sitting there, and just, it's no one's talking, everybody's quiet as hell, and then just Koby's trying to break the ice of just like, how do you break the ice with Akainu? He's made out of magma, for God's sakes. What would you do if you're there having dinner? Okay, like, I don't know, like, so, how's being the fleet admiral? It sucks. So much goddamn paperwork. Right. How'd you eat the magma fruit? Actually, that would be my question. Honestly, if I met most of the characters in One Piece, I would ask them, like, what's the story behind how you ate your devil fruit? Just give me, because everybody would have a story, right? Like, even somebody horrible like Caesar. You know, if I was hanging out with Caesar, I'd be like, I don't know, how'd you eat the gas fruit? How did that go down? He's like, well, you see, you know, and it's like, it'll tell me the story. I'm like, whatever. I guess that's a nice icebreaker question, if nothing else. Yeah, your daughter is a buzzsaw with that sniper rifle, sir. I swear to God. She just, boom, just headshot like so many different pirates. And maybe Akainu would be like, yeah, just like I taught her. You know, just like, yeah. Or maybe Hibari's mom was the sniper in the family. Who knows, whatever, right? There is one other, there's actually two. There's actually two other reasons that give it some idea that maybe Sakazuki is, in fact, Hibari's dad. So, there is a spin-off manga of One Piece. All right, it lasted about a year. It lasted from 2018 till the end of 2019, and it is called One Piece Koby-yama, who looks like Kobe. Two-piece in a pod. Two-piece in a pod. Like one piece, two-piece. There you go. If you ever wanted a manga after the sequel of One Piece is going to be called Two Piece, there it is. So it's like it's like a comedy parody manga, and I haven't really read it, but there is the whole premise of the manga is there's a kid in our world that's like a like a junior high school student that looks like Kobe, and the idea is there is a girl that has a crush on him because she reads One Piece and she knows that Kobe is eventually going to have like one of the biggest glow-ups in the whole story. So the premise is just there's this kid in junior high that looks like Kobe, and there's this girl that's like, oh, one day he's going to be, you know, the other post-time skip Kobe. So yeah, all right. Now, the girl doesn't really look like Hibari. I mean, kind of just looks like generic anime girl. But like, the thing is that in this manga, let me actually just pull it up here manually. In this manga, there is a character who is the dad of the girl that has a crush on Kobe, and her dad is modeled after Akainu. Okay, the girl's name is Akaishi, and Akaishi's dad is Akainu. So the girl that has a crush on Kobe, whose dad is based off of Akainu, is like, okay, just a parody manga, but still, there's this dad Akainu, if you ever wanted to see it. There you go. And there's one other one that's, this is a little bit more subtle. This is definitely more headcanon. This is 100% headcanon. But if it turns out to be like Akainu is her dad, this is going to work perfectly, okay? So, when all of Sword was doing the attack on Hachinosu, and their initial wave was actually managing to suppress the pirates pretty well. You know, Prince Scroose was there using his golems, Kujaku was whipping things into shape, and then you had Hibari there laying down covering fire as Kobe is running through with his steel iron ball, you know, running through the town trying to get to the shore. And so everything seems to be going pretty okay, and then Garp shows up with the galaxy impact. Everything seems to be going good. The pirates are suppressed, and then as Hibari and Kobe are running towards Garp's ship, okay, Hibari is saying something like, oh, we need to get that iron shackle off of Kobe, you know, something like that. And keep in mind here, Hibari is right next to Kobe, and Garp is also there, and some other members of the Marines and Sword are also kind of all gathered in that general area. Then Kuzan shows up. Kuzan makes his appearance, and which character does Kuzan decide to freeze? He could choose to... Kobe's right there, and Kobe's the one that was their prisoner that's escaping. You think he would instantly go to freeze Kobe. Or Prince Scroose or Kujaku, who are both rear admirals who have devil fruit powers that are way stronger. Or Garp is right there. Try to freeze Garp because he's the main threat. No. Out of all of the people kind of clustered together that Kuzan chooses to put in the icebox, it's Hibari. Hibari gets flash frozen, and everyone's like, oh no, Hibari! And then Kuzan shows up and is like, can't let you leave, guys. It's like, can't let you leave? Why didn't you freeze Koby? He was right there! It's like, you specifically chose to freeze Hibari. And if Hibari is Sakazuki's daughter, then it would make total sense. Because Kuzan fought Akainu, and he lost a leg, and he's feeling maybe a little bit spiteful about that. A little bit of revenge would be necessary here, and freezes his daughter. Freezes Akainu's daughter. There was a comment, I remember I mentioned this before, and somebody left a comment that was like, hey, doesn't that feel kind of petty, though? Like, for Kuzan, like, let's say Hibari is Sakazuki's daughter. Wouldn't that be kind of petty for him to freeze Hibari? You know, Hibari's not the one that took his leg. And so someone responded to that comment with like, yeah, I beat Petty too. Motherfucker took my leg. You know, just like, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If someone loses, hey, your dad took my leg. No offense, but I'm freezing you just because. He took my damn leg. I'm not getting this back, all right? I can freeze it. I can make a prosthetic, but that's not the same thing. He took my damn leg, all right? So, yeah, I'm going to freeze his daughter and knock her out for a little while. You know, put her in an ice time capsule. Yeah, that's only fair, right? Okay. So Hibari is fine. They managed to get her back to the ship. She's okay. She's not going to die or anything like that. But yeah. So those explanations, once you throw them all together, once you throw together the dialect, and the fact that Hibari has a crush on Koby, and the fact of Koby and Akainu's, at odds with one another. They're polar opposites in a lot of ways. And the idea that there's a parody manga with a girl that has a crush on Koby, and her dad is Akainu. And the fact that Kuzan froze Hibari out of all the other characters he could have frozen. He picks Hibari, who's like, she's a threat. Like I said, she's like a dead shot with a sniper rifle and everything, but like, you got actual devil fruit users here. You have the prisoner that's escaping that you want to stop escaping. You think freezing him would be the smart thing to do. Garp's there, who's the major threat. You think you'd try to freeze him. I mean, it probably wouldn't work. He would break out of whatever ice you try to freeze him with, but you think it would like buy a couple of seconds at least. No, out of everybody, like aside from like Helmeppo maybe, Kuzan chooses to freeze like one of the more least worrisome or least powerful members of Sword, comparatively here. She's really strong, with that gun and everything, but she doesn't have a devil fruit. I mean, maybe she knows a little bit of hockey, but nothing crazy. Maybe some observation hockey to help with the sniper, but like, that's it. But yeah, that's the video, and hope you guys enjoyed this little walk through my Tekking 101 headcanon and some fan shipping and whatnot. Let me know down below how you feel about all this, how you think this is going to go in the story, if Hibari and Koby are going to get together, if Akainu's going to walk Hibari down the aisle, and the entire time he's just glaring at Koby, like, grrr, I'm going to be making another video coming up about the future admirals of One Piece, because obviously Koby's going to become an admiral at some point, so we'll be talking about, like, the future of the admirals, future of the Marines, and we'll bring up some stuff there. Thank you to Artur. Big shout out to Artur for helping me out with some of the Japanese dialect stuff. Thank you to Runo over on Twitter. This is an awesome piece of artwork here, so make sure to go check them out. I'll leave links down below to everything. This will be Tekking signing out. Later, everyone. Go to that end screen.